Monday, August 23rd, 2021 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there's a quorum of the council present. Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and Mayor Pro Tem Hughes will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, as always, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for your guidance and your leadership. We pray for our council tonight as they conduct the city business, that you would instill in them, Father, your ways and your outlook, Father, toward everything, that they might act in a way that is in agreement with you. And Father, we especially want to take a moment, Father, tonight to remember the Chris Widener family, that you would comfort them as only you can, Father, in such a time of loss. We know that there are no magic words that we can say, Father, that will give them comfort, but Father, we know that you can, through your Holy Spirit, comfort them in this tragic time. And Father, again, we just pray that you would bless this meeting tonight, and might all things be done decently and in order. For we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Four is a proclamation declaring 9/11 as a day of prayer and remembrance. Once I have read the proclamation, I'd like for Chief Tuttle, EMS Director Russell Thrasher, and Chief McMonigal to meet me down on the floor so that Mayor Pro Tem Hughes and I can present it to your teams. And by the way, Mayor Pro Tem Hughes was on shore leave from the Navy in Massachusetts on that day. And to get back to his ship in Virginia, he had to go through New York City, knowing that our country would soon be at war. Whereas on September 11th, 2001, the American people endured with courage and heroism the worst attack on U.S. soil in our nation's history, coming together in a remarkable spirit of patriotism and unity, performing countless acts of kindness, generosity, and compassion. And whereas innocent people were killed and injured, and our citizenry threatened as a result of these horrific acts, and whereas from the tragedy of September 11th, emerged a stronger nation renewed by a spirit of national pride and a true love of country. And whereas we salute those who responded to the tragic event with their courage and selfless determination, resources and skill, and in some instances their lives. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Paris declares September 11th as a day to remember and reflect on the tragedies that occurred 20 years ago, and urge the citizens of Paris to set aside September 11th as a day of prayer and remembrance, and be further resolved that we proudly proclaim the liberties, freedoms, and privileges that we, as citizens of the United States, have been granted. And be it further and finally resolved that we preserve democracy as it exists in this great nation, and that we stand strong together in our commitment to end terrorism, and that we not let the losses our country suffered on September 11th be in vain, but rather that we dedicate our time, talents, and energy to the service of our country and of each other, in hopes of creating the stronger, more perfect union that was envisioned by our nation's founders. Signed this 23rd day of August, 2021, Paula Portugal, Mayor. On behalf of all first responders, thank you, Chief McMonigal, Chief Tuttle, and Director Thrasher. We appreciate you. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. Whereas Pitt-Hopkins syndrome is a rare genetic disorder affecting the TCF4 gene in chromosome 18, and whereas the children diagnosed with Pitt-Hopkins sometimes have distinctive facial features and experience intellectual disability, delays in reaching developmental milestones, impaired ability to speak, and may have recurrent seizures and breathing pattern abnormalities. And whereas the children with Pitt-Hopkins typically have a happy, excitable demeanor with frequent smiling and laughter, and whereas Pitt-Hopkins occurs in both males and females and is not limited to a specific ethnic background, and whereas our goal is to change the future for all who struggle with Pitt-Hopkins syndrome, we are dedicated to raise public awareness about PTHS and its effects on individuals, families, and society, and to bring hope to all who deal with the hardships of this disorder. And now, therefore, I, Paula Portugal, Mayor of the City of Paris, Texas, by the authority vested in me and in recognition of the foregoing, do hereby proclaim September 18th, 2021 as Pitt-Hopkins Awareness Day in Paris, Texas, and urge all citizens to be aware of the need to educate the public about PTHS and the need for increased research, funding, and effective treatment. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed at the City of Paris this 23rd day of August, 2020. Paula Portugal, Mayor. Would Mr. and Ms. Spencer and their son Hosea come up, please? Thank you so much. Thank you. Want to get your picture taken, Hosea? Thank you very much. Whereas the Paris City Council recognizes the valuable contributions from the pharmacy profession to our community, and whereas Dr. Leanne Hampton has worked in pharmacy since she was 16 years old, and whereas she loves being a community pharmacist and having relationships with her patients and being in direct patient care while staying ahead of the trends in her profession, and whereas Dr. Hampton was the first in this area to offer immunizations and point-of-care testing, she made the TPA magazine compounding more than 350 gallons of hand sanitizer during the COVID-19 crisis. And whereas Dr. Hampton received her doctorate of pharmacy degree from Texas Tech University Health Science Center School of Pharmacy in 2002 and is the owner of Paris Apothecary. And whereas the Texas Pharmacy Association hosted its annual awards in Austin, Texas on July 30th, 2021, and the TPA Affairs Council presented several prestigious association awards. Dr. Leanne Hampton was recognized as at the award ceremony with the most prestigious award, the Pharmacist of the Year Award for the state of Texas. Now therefore, I, Paula Portugal, Mayor of the City of Paris, Texas, by the authority vested in me, do hereby on behalf of the Paris City Council and the citizens of Paris recognize Dr. Leanne Hampton for her outstanding achievements and contributions to our community. Signed this 29th day of August 2021, Paula Portugal. Please come forward. Chloe? She doesn't want to come. Congratulations. Here you go. Thank you. Item number D, is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there is anyone who wishes to address the council, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, James O'Brien, 3150 Bottom Street. Come here tonight to talk to you about the resolution regarding the City Charter Review Committee. The passing of the resolution to limit voter participation is concerning, especially when putting into context of what's happening at the state capitol right now concerning voting rights. The passing of this resolution suggests that there may be a disconnect or at least an insensitivity with the City Council regarding voter rights. This topic is especially personal to me, not because I'm excluded from participation based upon the restrictions passed, but because I participated in the military to ensure that all citizens are afforded equal participation in government. If I were to say that any one of you can't participate in the city council based upon your race, sex, religious beliefs, I would hope that you would know the unconstitutionality of my statements. What's happened here is you've basically stated that someone can't participate in their city government based upon their past participation. That is because you've already participated in your own government once, you're not allowed to do it again. Or maybe you're saying that you can't participate in your local government because your level of education or knowledge. I don't think it's unreasonable to limit the participation of citizens in their local government based upon their past employment participation in the city council if it's based on a recent participation, for example, within the last 2 years or immediate past election cycle. However, to prohibit any past employee or city council member from any point and any time for any duration of employment is, in my opinion, the need to raise alarm and question the constitutionality of the approved resolution. I understand that having someone with past participation could have the potential for partisan influence on the charter. However, what you've done here has the potential to go to the opposite extreme, whereby we could have only disconnected citizens on the commission with the potential to be railroaded by Mr. Edmondson. Even worse, the entire city will be railroaded because the changes that need to be proposed in the city charter will not only not be caught by Mr. Edmondson because he's not from here and he doesn't participate in our local government, but at the same time...
Dr. O'Brien, wrap your comments up, please.
Okay, then I'll skip to the end. For what it's worth, all of the law scholars that I've spoken with regarding this resolution have similar concerns with the time restrictions that you've enacted in your resolution. I come to you tonight because I want to make you aware of my concerns and give you the opportunity to address our concerns before you take action. Thank you.
Any further? All right. Seeing?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Mayor and Council, my name is John Lestock. I live at 477 Dogwood Circle, Powderly, Texas, 75473. I worked for the City of Paris from September 2003 till February 2013. Because I worked for 3 other cities in Texas, in addition to Paris, I get a monthly pension check from TMRS. It's my understanding that the City of Paris can apply to the federal government for over $3 million in stimulus money, some of which can be applied to the year 2021-2022 proposed budget. It's also my understanding that the City of Paris can apply to the federal government for an additional $3 million in stimulus money, part of which can be used for the following 2022-2023 budget year. It's my understanding that in this year's proposed budget, the city manager has withdrawn money from the city's reserves to put in this year's proposed budget. The City of Paris, 13 years ago, quit paying cost of living for retired city employees and has not increased the cost of living for those retirees for the past 13 years. I'm asking you on behalf of those retirees to reinstate the cost of living in this year's budget. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, the Citizens Forum is now closed. On the consent agenda, is there any member who wishes to remove an item from the agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve all items on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion that we approve all items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. A second? Mr. Pilgrim? All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 15, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on an ordinance regarding the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 5, Article 5.07, Division 4, mobile food units and food truck parks. I need a motion to remove this item from the table.
I'll make a motion to remove the item from the table.
Thank you, Ms. Knox. Second, Mr. Pilgrim. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. Mr. Mack.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. You have before you this evening a return of this ordinance approximately 1 month from your previous public hearing on the proposed changes to Article 5.07, Division 4, the mobile units and food truck parks. The intention with tabling this item at the last council meeting discussion was to allow opportunity for input, and 2 listening sessions were conducted by invite extended personally to each one of the licensed mobile food vendors in the city of Paris, Texas for this year. As a result of those meetings, there was discussion, and without going back over all the changes to the proposal, other than the fact that this is a very business-friendly amendment to the regulations, these 3 additional following changes were made. Number 1 was to allow mobile food units to remain in place overnight, provided the land or business owner provides written permission and the food truck is being operated on a daily basis. The second change since the last meeting was to allow the mobile food units to operate on a residential yard for private home catering event, provided written permission is obtained from all residents within 50 feet of the mobile food unit placement in the yard, which would include both the person hosting the catered event as well as the neighboring property. And lastly, that we would allow temporary signage to be detached from the food truck only when the unit is open for business and is being conducted as a part of their daily operations. So with that, we recommend your approval of the ordinance changes as recommended by the Planning Commission this evening.
All right, any questions of the staff? All right, I will now open the public hearing and ask that anyone who wishes to come forward and speak in support or opposition of this item, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any discussion?
I move that we approve the minor changes to the mobile food unit and food truck parks ordinance and regulations.
All right, motion has been made. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion and a second to approve amending Chapter 5, Article 5.07 of the mobile food unit and food truck parks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Item number 16, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on ordinance considering the petition of Cal Reap for a change in zoning from one-family dwelling district number 2, SF2, to a multifamily dwelling district number 1, MF1, in the Highland Park Addition, Block 4, Lot 7A, and all of 8, located at 2027 Culbertson Street. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This item was held at public hearing in beginning of August by the Planning Commission. This is a second opportunity for the city to consider changing the zoning on this property located here at 2023 Culbertson Street with a request by Cal Reap. Since Mr. Reap has acquired this property, he has substantially cleaned up the property, and he's converted the duplex at the front of the street to a single-family dwelling. Prior to him purchasing the property, there was a dwelling unit in the rear of the property that was an occupied structure. Given the fact that it was not approved for 3 dwelling units on this site, the tenant was ordered to be removed from the property along with the cleanup efforts for outdoor junk and rubbish in the yard. Again, the property has since changed hands. Mr. Reap was in process of remodeling the structure in the rear for reoccupancy, and staff was alerted to the need for this by the request of a meter release for that rear structure, different than the current arrangement with the electric service. As a result, we worked through this, and the resolution to this issue was the rezoning of the property, which has been recommended for approval by the Planning Commission to the City Council from the current SF2 district to MF1 to accommodate the 2 dwelling units on the property. And staff does recommend your approval this evening.
Okay, thank you. I'll now open the public hearing and ask that anyone who wishes to come forward and speak in support or opposition of this item, please state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Any questions or discussion? I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve Planning and Zoning's recommended rezoning from SF2 to MF1.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Please raise your hand, or say aye if you agree.
Aye.
Say no if you oppose. Motion carries 7-0. All right. Item number 17, discuss, conduct a public hearing, and act on the petition of the City of Paris to adopt an ordinance amending the zoning map for the Brownwood addition from a multifamily dwelling district, MF1, to a one-family dwelling district, number 2, SF2. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This item is being returned to you less the 3.6 acres that resulted in considerable controversy. So this is the second round. This item was heard by the Planning Commission at their last meeting and have recommended that exclusively the Brownwood subdivision, essentially developed as a single-family development, be rezoned from the MF1 district to single-family 2, allowing only single-family residents in this district as currently developed. So with that, we would recommend your approval this evening.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing and ask that anyone who wishes to come forward and speak in support or opposition of this item, please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Richard Thompson, 3206 Bottom Street. I've got a few questions on this. I did some research, and this was, the way this thing all came about to be changed was board recommended to the staff. I thought it was the staff recommended to the board. It was not. Are y'all all aware, the council is aware that it takes a majority vote to do that, according to the charter? So y'all all wanted this changed? Or y'all even know about it? Okay. That subdivision also has deed restrictions. The city doesn't enforce deed restrictions, the courts do. So even if someone wanted to go in there and build something, the residents can make it where it has to have brick, it has to have a certain pitch of roof, has to be a certain size. This is all on record at the courthouse. I think my biggest question is, it's been kicked around several times. I'm not real sure I understand where it was originated from. I'm real curious how much it costs the taxpayers to change something that's been that way since its inception and really didn't need to be changed. Thank you.
Any other persons wishing to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any discussions from council? All right, I'll hear a motion, please.
Make a motion to adopt the zoning change for the Brownwood addition from multifamily to SF2.
All right, second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. All right. My pages have gotten mixed up.
Charter review.
Okay. Item number 18, discuss and appoint members to the Charter Review Commission. Mr. Path?
At the previous city council meeting, city council passed an ordinance that commissioned the charter review process. And so as part of that process, the city council now needs to bring forward 15 nominations, individuals to serve in this committee as a charter review. So at the last meeting, we discussed that each of you would bring forward several names and so then each councilman will pick 2 individuals, and the mayor and mayor pro tem working together would pick the 15th individual. And so to do this, what I might recommend is, given you are picking at large across the community, what I might recommend is that you may do like a round robin, name an individual, go across, and then we go back again, name another individual. Then we'll close with Mayor Pro Tem Mr. Hughes and Mayor Portugal picking the 15th person. After that, you then need to nominate a chairman of those 15 there, and that's in the ordinance as well. So with that, I'll turn back over to Mayor Portugal.
Thank you, Mr. Path. All right. Ms. Stone, would you like to make your...
Would it be all right if we asked a question just for clarification? If that's okay, Stephanie? On there, okay. I think some of the miscommunication is, if somebody's not allowed to be on the commission or on the board or the Charter Review Commission, how can they get their point across? How can they be heard? Will there be avenues, with the exception of calling individual commissioners, how will they get their point across or their viewpoint make their viewpoint heard?
Very simply, these are open meetings under the Open Meetings Act, and they can attend and they can make their views known. It's important to remember that this is a charter review committee that is appointed at the pleasure of the council, and that no one has a right to serve on it. If you take that far enough along, then every other person in the city who is not put on this committee would have some sort of cause against the city for not being put on this commission. But certainly, these meetings will be open, and they'll have an opportunity to come be heard.
Well, I just wanted that discussed for clarification, so.
Did I answer your question, I hope?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Anything else for me? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Ms. Stone, would you like to make your first appointment?
Brenda Cherry.
Thank you. Mr. Savage,
Taisley Scroggins.
what was the last name, please?
Scroggins, S-C-R-O-G, I think it's G-G-I-N-S.
Okay, I know her.
Well, Janice will correct me if I'm wrong.
Mayor Pro Tem Hughes?
Stacy Liddell.
Thank you. I would like to appoint Reeves Hayter.
Linda Cap.
Thank you. Ms. Knox?
Matthew Coyle.
Thank you. Mr. Pilgrim?
Lydia Fitzgerald.
Thank you. Ms. Stone?
Mickey Allen.
Nikki or Mickey?
Mickey Allen.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Savage?
David House.
Thank you.
House.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Hughes?
James Mitchell.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate or appoint Connie Dodd.
Okay. Chad Lindsay.
Thank you. Ms. Knox?
Joan Moore.
Thank you. Mr. Pilgrim?
Jessica Holtman.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem Hughes and I conferred, and we are appointing Alex Putnam, and I believe that makes our 15, correct? Yes. All right. The council will make a nomination for chairman. If you have, Mr. Pilgrim?
I nominate Alex Putnam for chairman.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there another nomination for chairperson? All right. There's been a nomination and a second of Alex Putnam for chairman. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. All right. That carries 7-0. Thank you. We have our...
I got one question on that,
Okay.
and one more question. If someone falls off for whatever reason, illness, or can't make it to the meetings because of schedule conflict, because these people right now, they don't really know when the meetings are going to be held. So if they cannot serve because of those reasons, what do we do? How do we, what's the process of putting the next person on? Or should we nominate alternates?
I just ran this past Mr. Edmonds. He said generally in his experience, if that happens, they're not refilled.
Okay.
But that would be up to council's discretion.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
can I ask the council, what do y'all think?
I'm okay with two in the, yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
All right. Do we want to name alternates tonight or wait and see if that occasion arises?
What do y'all want to do?
I think it's fine to wait. I mean, again,
That's fine
if
with me.
people get ill, things happen, injuries happen, you never know when you can't meet. So
The only thing about nominating alternates now, if they could, they would attend the meetings and they would be abreast of what's going on, so you wouldn't have to catch them up, or they wouldn't come in, ignorant of what's been going on. So I think we should go ahead and nominate the two now if it's legal.
That's a good point.
It's not illegal. If you want to go ahead and do that, you can.
Okay.
All right.
What is the process that we'd want to run this by? We don't want to get the hat out again, do we?
Well, I personally, I didn't, because the people I'd already nominated agreed to be appointed again, and so I didn't contact anybody else. So I hate to appoint somebody, even as an alternate, that I don't know if they're willing to serve. But if some of you have contacted a third person and want to,
I didn't, but
I would like to nominate somebody.
all right,
I mean, just as an alternate, and Kenneth Webb.
Kenneth Webb
Webb,
as an alternate,
And Sybil Bills.
and Sybil what?
Bills.
Bills,
We've already discussed it.
okay. Anybody else you want to nominate as an alternate?
I had spoken with Randy Hyder. He happened to be one of them, but again, if we have two, then if for some reason you need a third, there you go. But
Yeah.
I think it should be
You
fine.
want to stick with two for now, and,
That's fine.
It doesn't matter.
it's fine with me.
He's fine.
okay. Well,
So do we need a motion or what?
can I call a vote on those, or what's the procedure?
Well, you didn't vote on the others. I think you can just appoint them.
Okay.
And, Madam Mayor, if you've got a consensus of your council on that, you can make those appointments.
Okay. We appoint Kenneth Webb and Sybil Bills as alternates. And I assume the city will notify these people, and that will be taken care of. Thank you. Item number 20, number 19, discuss and reaffirm that the City Council of the City of Paris will follow state laws and not mandate masking and vaccinations related to the COVID-19. Councilmember Pilgrim, would you like to discuss this?
Yes, ma'am. So I prepared a small statement, but the main thing I did for this purpose for tonight was not to argue for mask or against mask, or for vaccinations or against vaccinations, or get into a series of arguments. That's not why we're here. The state has mandated, Governor Abbott has put an executive order not to mandate masks. We don't have that ability to do that. Recently, North Texas, South, everywhere in the state we've got school districts and boards and committees and things that have went completely against the grain of the law. I want us to stay with the law, whether we like it or we don't. We have a democracy. We vote people in, we vote people out for different reasons, and we make laws and regulations based upon that. Had several, there's a few here tonight, but several business owners reach out. It's been all over. If you've been awake in Paris, Texas in the past 4 or 5 days, you've seen some of the stuff, and it's not just here, it's all over the state. It's disheartening. It's hurt me a lot to see that, and there's a lot of push behind the scenes for different governmental organizations to go against the rules. And like I said, for or against it, all that, we've all got different opinions. I think the first opinion we need to have is the rules are the rules. We've got to stay by them, and I want to assure the people of Paris that. I don't want the citizens of Paris to wake up one day and we've been pushed to do something that we're going to regret against the rules. And it's just we're living in a world right now where it's just literally every day we wake up and something crazy is happening going on, and I really don't want that here. And I'm disheartened by some of the things that have happened recently, and I'm not going to get name calling and all that, but I think us as a city council, we need to step up and say we're going to follow the state mandate. That's the rules. I think that shows us solidarity. I think that shows some of the stuff going on in the back of the scenes, different people, different things. and maybe that'll quiet some of that down and let us kind of go back to somewhat kind of a normalcy since we've started in this COVID part of life. But that's where I have, and I'm going to yield the floor if anybody else has a discussion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. My only question, and like you said, we didn't come here to argue about this or anything. My question is, I guess two questions. Does the city have some plans to do something different? And I guess it goes to the necessity of this item on the agenda. I guess I'm missing that point.
There is nothing I know in the plans right now. There has been a lot of discussion. There has been for and against and this and that, and other cities have made decisions based on emotion, based on some data, based on other things. But at the end of the day, the state makes the rules and the state makes the law. And when the governor did it, and now we've seen that, Dallas has done it, South Texas, San Antonio, several other cities have went against it. I don't want us to follow in those footsteps. It's easy to do. I'd rather nip it in the bud before it gets here.
Yeah.
Know where we stand and know that and I have the actual executive order here, and I just highlighted a couple things. It says no government entity, including a city, county, school district, public health authority, government official may require any person to wear a face covering or to mandate that another person wear a face covering. And those things have been completely gone against in several different organizations, several different committees, boards, city councils, all through the state. They're fighting it tooth and nail at the Attorney General's office right now, and it's become a political thing. That's what it is. And it's a hot potato item, and I don't want it to nip us. I want to be up front about it, and people know where we are on it, and know that our city council is going to follow the state law. And state law changes, all means we change. That's what we do. But if the governor mandates that we can't do something, that we don't try to go against them. That's my biggest qualm with a lot of the other, and there's a lot of cities getting heat on this right now.
Right. Can I just finish my little point? The government mandate is the governor's mandate is the governor's mandate. I know you want to put the fire out before it gets started, but what happened was because of this, it started the fire. And it was a fire that we really don't need. He made the mandate. There's nothing that the city hasn't taken any action to do anything against the mandate. So I thought we should have left it alone. What the other entities do, that's their business, and whatever they figure out, that has nothing to do with us really, unless you have kids, that it affects. But to me, it opened up a can of worms that we didn't need. We saw the can of worms being open, so we didn't need to pull it on us because we've all received the emails, text messages, for or against. So it kind of put us in a bad situation unnecessarily. That's just my opinion, and I just wanted to make that point.
Well, we all make mistakes, and our governor can make mistakes too. He can make a mistake too. You're talking to the wrong one. As far as mandating masks, which I have two daughters that are school teachers, so I'm highly affected. Kids have the right to, be protected. I've seen a kid on a vent for 4 weeks because of respiratory, couldn't breathe. And if you've never seen a kid on a vent, then it'll change your life, okay? To me, governors make mistakes too, just like city council can make a mistake. I think the case is handed over to Supreme Court now of Texas, so they're making a decision. I don't think this really affects, our local schools because one put it in their dress code and the other ones decide not to do it. So again, what Councilman Savage saying, opening up a can of worms, it did because it kind of puts us in a position to where it's like we don't want to follow the law. Yes, I do want to follow the law, but when it comes to a child's life, we have to rethink that law. Like if this is going to affect children, our children in this community, again, governors make mistakes too, in my opinion.
Give us facts.
Well, to me, I believe that the oath of office that all 7 of us took really says it best. We all swore to the best of our ability to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, and the charter and ordinances of this city.
But when does safety come in? The
Well,
safety?
I don't know, but I believe that this covers Mr. I believe this.
Want to go with safety, speak up.
You'll be removed if you're out of order again. And Mr. Pilgrim, I feel very secure that there's no one on this council that is trying to do that, and the staff cannot do it without our direction.
I agree. And like I say, I'm not pointing fingers at it. I don't think anybody is doing that. I just know there is a lot of heat behind the scenes from different organizations. And it's, like I say, I'm not in the finger pointing game. I don't care what other committees and boards did. I just don't want to see us get in the predicament going against our governor or going against a federal mandate or going against any kind of law just because we're emotional about it or we think differently about what the law really says. If the law says we got to do it, then we got to do it. But as of right now, we've got a lot of city councils in the state of Texas that are mandating masks in their towns and doing things, and it's hurting their business owners, it's hurting their people. And if you want to wear a mask, you can wear 5 masks. If you don't have to wear one. And that's the way it should be. It's freedom. It's the United States. And if, there's just not enough. I don't know if they fumbled the football at the beginning of this thing. They did. We don't have to wear them. We do need to wear them. We don't need. But mandating someone to do something is a really tough word for especially anybody in Texas to swallow, and it's just going to continue to get worse as we get folks that want to step out of their realm of what they're really supposed to be working on, and we're seeing it coming. We've seen it in our county already, and I just wanted us to be ahead of it that we're not going to go along with that.
I do have a quick question, and it doesn't necessarily relate to, it relates to masks, but it kind of segues away from it for a second here. I completely agree, and I have no problem with that. The one concern in terms of public safety that I do have, just the Hail Mary of the situation, okay? If our local hospital, which is a regional hospital, which I happen to sit on the board for this hospital, if they come back and say, hey, we have lost all of our resources. We don't have enough employees. We don't have enough nurses. And they say, hey, we need help from the city. And not to go against our governor, we want to follow the law, but is there any way we can find a partnership with Austin to say, hey, can we get nurses or can we get support staff that can come in and help us because the staff we have is depleted. The resources we have is depleted. And I know based on the law, right now they don't have that. But is there a way that we could work with other municipalities? Obviously, if we're going through that, then there would be other cities that probably are going through the same thing or worse. Is there a way that we could set something up for the future? And again, this is a hypothetical, but I like to think into the future as opposed to looking backwards all the time, right?
I'm sorry, Mr. Ponkish, this is really pretty much off the agenda item.
Sure.
It's certainly something you can put on a future agenda, but I'm not real comfortable discussing that tonight.
No problem. That's why I prefaced it, so sorry.
Thank you.
I apologize.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion?
I hope is this a item to vote on or anything?
No.
Okay, good
No.
deal. Good.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 20, discuss and act on the fiscal year 2021-22 annual program of work and budgets for Love Civic Center and the Visitors and Convention Council. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. First, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present our proposed budgets for next fiscal year. I'd also like to thank my incredible staff and all of our boards for the time that they spent going over this. I will say this, we have surpassed anything that we could imagine with our hot tax. And it wasn't just specifically with the events that we held here. And Mahir can contest to that. Our hotels have stayed full with people that are working. And the events that we did have come to Paris, they were in record numbers, and we will talk a little bit about those when we get to them. I want to start with our VCC budget, and not going to go through every single line item. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those. But with our new events with Timber will be our second year coming up out at Barber Hills. We're doing a lot of work out at Barber Hills with Timber and getting more and more people out there. The indoor archery tournament is coming back, will be held at North Lamar. And our Tour de Paris, I will say this, the income for our Tour de Paris, we've got budgeted at $50,000. This year we had a record number of people that came out for the Tour de Paris. What you don't see is the actual income. The actual income right now is about $65,000, but that includes part of last year's Tour de Paris because of the time frame in which we had it. So we want to budget our hotel motel tax at $710,000 versus last year at $650,000. We're going to be well over the $710,000 this year, but we want to be conservative and we don't want to count on just workers coming in and filling up the hotel. So that's why we decided to go with that number. The miscellaneous income, we've left that the same. And so we have a total income of our VCC budget of $786,000. Going to the expense side, we go down to line number 19 and we see that half of that budgeted $710,000 will go to the Civic Center. That's $355,000. Moving down with the payroll expenses, we are asking for a 3% increase in our staff salary. Marketing and advertising, we have to spend 10% of our proposed hot tax that's going to come in, and so we're budgeting $71,000 for that. And when we talk about marketing, we continually look at what we need to market, what are the things that we need to do, and of course, biking is probably our number one thing that takes place in Paris, and so we're going to spend marketing dollars marketing our pump track, marketing the net, marketing Barber Hills, but we've had a lot of new event centers that have been built in and around Lamar County, and a lot of people are coming from Dallas to get married here because it's cheaper. So we're going to market to the wedding crowd as well with our marketing dollars because they're going to be spending the night. I would like to mention also, along with that $71,000, down Number 44, we have branding discovery that we're going to be working with the PEDC and the city, along with the Civic Center and the VCC. So I'm looking forward to working with Grayson and Maureen with that so we can actually use part of that $71,000 with marketing Paris and getting people here. So I wanted to bring that out as well. Our event expenses, Tour de Paris expense, we're going to bump that up to $32,000 with the number of people that we've got coming and the marketing that we're going to be doing. ASA, I want to talk to you a little bit about ASA. All of you know that we've lost the major ASA archery tournament. They decided not to come back to Paris. It was a major blow, but in thinking over the past, it was something that was not shocking. Mike Terrell had looked through the woods out at the Civic Center multiple times. He could not find any more lanes. We had 1,700 archers show up this year for archery, and we have roughly 850 hotel rooms. So the two reasons why they gave us was because not enough lanes and not enough hotel rooms. So what they have done is we are going to still be able to host the Texas ASA shoot, which is going to be different. It's going to be a little different than the ASA one that's been coming, but what we're going to try to do is turn that into something that is spectacular. because what we want to do is still promote Paris as being home of an archery event. There are no other archery tournaments going on at that time. There is no other pro-ams going on at that time. So what we're doing right now is we're in constant talks with Texas ASA on how do we market and get the pros to come and compete in this like they've done for the last 14 years. So we're going to leave our marketing dollars very close to that because our intention is to blow this thing up and be as big as ever. It's going to take some time, just like the original one, but right now we're expecting anywhere from 700 to 800 shooters coming for the Texas ASA. Line number 46, our events funding, we're bumping that up to $46,000. We're still looking at bringing in new events into Paris. One of the things that we have already started working on in discussion is promoting the net. The Northeast Texas Trail is completed from Roxton to Paris, and from Paris all the way to Clarksville will be finished very shortly. And so we're going to put on another event that is going to promote the net from Roxton all the way to Clarksville, and of course they're coming right through Paris. So be looking for that information to be coming out pretty quick. Chamber management, we're going to bump up $10,000. That's a 3 to 5% increase over a 6-year period. Of course, our general liabilities and our insurance and our things like that, they continue to rise. Our bookkeeping fees, things like that, they continue to rise as well. And so we look at our total expense of $785,975, which leaves us to the good for $25. What I would also like to ask, we've done this the last 2 years, is go ahead and ask for a budget approval from reserves of $50,000 if we get that home run event, that we can go ahead and pull from reserves for that. We've done that the last 2 years, and we've yet to have to use that because we do have so much support with our pump track, with everything that we do. We have so much community support, we've not had to do that. But I would still like to get that approved just in case that other home run event comes. Pump track, I will tell you this, we're on the map. We're on the map with the pump track, and a lot of things are still taking place. Been in conversations with Vela Solutions over in Sweden. We got the thumbs up with how we pulled off that event, so it's looking good for us in the future. Nothing definite yet, but things went well. Thank you for your support with that. I'll take any questions relating to our VCC budget.
Paul, I'll just tell you, it seems like I've sat on some of your boards for a couple of years now. In terms of your budget, you guys manage very well, and you're very conservative regarding how you spend your money, so I appreciate that. I'm very optimistic, and based on y'all's luck and the hard work you put in, that you're going to get that home run event. I feel comfortable with that. I think it's good. And I'll tell you from the other aspect of it, we as hotel owners, we appreciate everything you guys do to promote this community. So we're very fortunate to have a strong chamber led by great leaders in our community. So I just want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I experienced some of that yesterday. We had a film crew here, and Becky Simple did her Paris charm. They loved it and want to come back. Any other questions of Mr. Allen? All right, I'll hear a motion on this item to approve.
I move that we approve the chamber's requested budget.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the Chamber's annual program of work and budget, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Very good. Your budget's approved.
Okay, we'll go to the Love Civic Center. I am very excited about this. We finally have a rendering of what some of the renovations will look like. Be more than happy to share that with you. I met with Grayson and WRA multiple times, and I think we are finally headed in the right direction with that. With our Love Civic Center budget, you see at the very top where the income that has been transferred, $355,000, which is half of the half of what we are taking in budget-wise. Bicycle rentals, we're still hanging in there with our bicycles. I will tell you this, what we've done. Last year when we presented the budget, we talked about spending quite a bit of money to replenish the bikes that were out there. We sat on that because it was not going to happen because of COVID. And so we are working with Brad Hilliard with CycleWorks, and we are still in the plans of Brad using his mobile unit that he has and bringing bikes out to be able to rent them at the Civic Center for the net and for the pump track. And we took that money that we said we were going to use on bikes, and we moved that into our plan for reconstruction. Did talk to Grayson about that. Our board did approve that. And I know that our Civic Center, that reconstruction account is definitely going to be needed as we move forward with that. Went down a little bit on our our events that are funded, just because we're still trying to play catch up with a lot of the events that didn't come last year, and a lot of other people are using some of those other venues now for events, but I think the renovation will definitely make a difference with that. So we have a total income of $441,400. Looking at the expense side, bumped up a little bit on communications. Payroll expense, asking for a 3% increase for our staff for that. Of course, the bookkeeping and the audit, those things continue to go up, as you see. Chamber management, we're going up to $25,000 versus $18,000. Building maintenance and supplies, we haven't spent what we budgeted before, but we always have to be prepared, especially when it comes to HVAC, $99,000 for that. Insurance has gone up, and we're also going to use $10,000 of our money for our branding discovery with the PEDC and the city, which gives us a total expense of $364,450, which leaves us a balance of $76,950, and what we would like to do with that is stick it into our capital improvements to help pay for things that we might not have the money for with our bond. I'll entertain any questions on the Civic Center, which balances our budget completely.
Any questions? I'll hear a motion to approve the budget of the Love Civic Center.
So moved.
All right, second,
Seconded.
Ms. Knox, thank you. All those in favor of the Love Civic Center budget, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0.
We have our program of work. I think you put that in that motion to begin with. Do we need to talk about this?
Any
Everything
questions?
is in the Civic Center, everything is revolved around that renovation and promoting that renovation, having an open house when it gets done. Hopefully, we will start the work before the beginning of the year, we hope. And then, of course, our VCC, we continue to look for new events. We're going to push the net and push the pump track and do whatever we can to get heads in beds here in Paris.
Great job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Item number 21, discuss and provide direction on any necessary edits to the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Path?
Yes, the City Council, you've heard presentations on the budget on August 9th as well as the 12th. We had a budget workshop, and so with that, you've asked a lot of very good questions, both in the meetings and individually one-on-one. And so the purpose of this item tonight is to entertain more questions, or if you wish to see anything edited or changed or whatnot, and we can work on that. Otherwise, the budget is the same as you last saw it, and if you approve it as is, we will then, the next 2 or 3 items here will, by state code, we will work to set some public hearings. And so, but I would entertain any questions you have about the budget.
have no questions. Did a really good job to me.
Thank
You
you.
answered everything in our budget workshop for me.
I will say, I did appreciate something I did share with you, but I thought it was great that it was line by line, as opposed to the train of thought of just summaries, because a lot of that can be muddled. So it's nice to have a good detailed budget. I'll just say that.
Very good. With that, I don't think any action is needed on this item. Just we'll proceed to the next items for the resolutions to prepare public hearings, and then you will then approve the budget at the September 13th meeting, unless you make edits at that point. So.
Okay, thank you. Number 22, Mr. Anderson, discuss a resolution calling a public hearing on the proposed budget.
A public hearing on the city budget is required by Section 50 of the city charter, as well as Section 102.006 of the local government code. And so what we're asking tonight is for the council to adopt a resolution calling for that public hearing on the 21-22 budget for September the 13th. And we will publish a legal notice in the Paris News, as is also required in the charter.
All right, any discussion? All right, the dates again are
September the 13th. is
September
when that needs to be.
13th. All right. I'll hear a motion to approve this resolution.
I move that we approve the resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposed 21-22 city budget.
Oh, thank you. Is second?
Second it.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 23.
Excuse me. There was no discussion offered on number 19.
Excuse me. Is there any discussion on item 22?
Stiffness.
You had a citizens forum at the beginning of the meeting where anybody had the opportunity to speak, and nobody spoke on number 19 at that time, and you've already passed that item on the agenda.
All right, thank you. All right, item number 23, discuss and act on a resolution calling a public hearing on the proposed tax rate for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Anderson?
Okay. A public hearing on the proposed tax rate is required by Chapter 26 of the Texas Tax Code. And what we're asking tonight is for the council to adopt a resolution calling for that public hearing also on September the 13th, and we'll publish a legal notice to that same effect.
All right. Any discussion on that date and calling for the tax rate? All right, I'll hear a motion to approve this item.
23 you talking about?
23.
I make the motion that we act on the resolution calling for a public hearing on the proposal of the tax rate for the fiscal year 2021 through 2022.
All right, a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Pankaj. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 24, discuss and act in support of the proposed tax rate prior to the public hearing on the same. Mr. Anderson?
This may be the most unusual item on the agenda. The State Controller's Office provides seven different versions of the notice of public hearing on the tax rate that can be published in the paper, and that's the quarter-page ad that we'll be publishing. And which version of those 7 that we publish depends on how our proposed tax rate relates to the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate. Well, based on our current situation where our proposed tax rate is more than the no new revenue tax rate but less than the voter approval tax rate, we have to use Form 50-876 is the one we'll publish in the paper. But one of the things that's in that notice, it requires that the council take a record vote showing support or lack thereof on that proposed tax rate, because that's something that we have to put in the paper, who voted for, who voted against, or who wasn't here, type of thing. It's a kind of oddity. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't bind you to vote a particular way when we actually do vote on the tax rate, but it's just a quirky thing that's required by state law.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Anderson? All right. I will hear a motion to approve this item.
I move that we show support for the proposed 21-22 city tax rate.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Knox and Mr. Pilgrim, thank you. All those in favor of supporting the proposed tax rate prior to the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item number 25, receive an update on Package 4 of the 2013 Bond Fund Water and Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. Mr. Pat.
I'll start first.
Okay.
And yes, it's been about a year or so since you last had a public report on the status of the utility bond project, the one that we dealt with last year. And so I've asked Public Works Director Michael Smith, as well as our AECom engineer, Matthew Abbey, to be present. So Michael Smith will give you a rundown, a summary of where we're at. We are nearing the end of the project, and so it's good timing to do that. So, and there are a few items that we will discuss in executive session after this. And so, Ms. Smith.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. Just a quick update on the projects. Project 4, which is Clarksville from 3rd to Collegiate, it was a water line replacement. It's complete. Project 8, which is 12th Street from Clarksville to Old Jefferson, it was a water line and a sanitary sewer replacement. It actually stopped at Austin. It did not continue to Old Jefferson. It's substantially complete. Project 9, La Mesa Heights, was a water line and sanitary sewer replacement. It is complete. Project 5 was downtown water line sewer and sanitary sewer replacements. We still have repairs on South Main on the asphalt to complete. Project D1 was Pine Bluff from North Main to 20th, waterline and sanitary sewer replacement. It is complete. Project 29 was Graham from 4th to 7th. It was a waterline replacement. The city actually done that project in-house, removing it from the contract. Project E2 is a Stacy Lane to the walking trail over by PCA. That project is complete. E2B is a sanitary sewer line replacement behind the PCA building itself. It was a short section there. It was actually pulled from the project. Project E3 is Clarksville to Southeast Lift Station. It's a cross-country sanitary sewer replacement. It's complete. Project E4, 40th Southeast, was a sanitary sewer replacement. We still have 4 yards to level, pretty everything up there. Project E5, loop at Don Drive, sanitary sewer replacement under the loop. It was pulled from the project. Project E6, loop 286 from Paris Auto Group all the way to Home Depot, was a sanitary sewer replacement. There's 2 asphalt driveways left to fix and 1 manhole to locate. Project E7, which is 17th Northeast, Clement to Martin Luther King to 20th, sanitary sewer replacement. We have curb repair and 1 clean out to locate. And that's the whole project update. I'll answer any questions if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any
Yes, ma'am.
questions?
I have one, Mayor, excuse me, Mr. Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Up here on project 6A, B, C, oh, that's 6th and 8th Street.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Never mind. I see it now.
When it says pulled from the project, does that mean the city is going to negotiate with another contractor or do that in-house?
Pulled from the project on like Project E2B, which
Mm-hmm.
was the sanitary sewer line, we've never had any issues there. There was actually nothing wrong with that section of sewer line. So therefore, there was no reason to spend the money on fixing something that you've never had a problem with. So we actually took it out. There was actually some altercations with the transformer box behind PCA that the contractor didn't like either. So it saved the city money to pull it out.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
like saving money. Any other questions?
Yes, on the 6th Street from Claudesville to Jefferson and 8th Street from Claudesville to Jefferson, and I know this ties into the project where they fixed on the lines. Do we have any plans to, you already know, to fix the roads?
These will actually be discussed in executive session, the 6th and 8th Street.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, this is not an action item. Number 26, convene into executive session pursuant to Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about 1, pending or contemplated litigation, and/or number 2, on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter, to wit, Package 4 of the 2013 Bond Fund Water and Sanitary Sewer Replacement Project. The time is 6:45 p.m., and the City Council is convening into executive session. The time is 7:06 PM, and the city council is reconvening into open session. No action was taken. Item number 28, consider and approve future events for city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything?
Mayor Portugal, I have one thing. I know that our next council meeting is slated for the 13th of next month of September. I usually like to make all of our events, but I have a family event and my brother-in-law is getting married. And so I will be flying back the evening that we were intending to have this meeting. So just for the sake of quorum, I just wanted to state that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, anything else?
Just a reminder, we have a special meeting Wednesday.
Wednesday, 5:30 PM
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
Okay. Adjournment, I'll hear a motion.
So
And
moved.
second, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
It's the most united I have heard.